Okay, so welcome to part two of the CPD for the Arts Award, where we're looking at the Arts Award and its specificity for SEND settings. And in part two, we are finding inspiration. We're going to be with Marc Woodhead from the National Gallery in London, and he's going to be sharing with us two of their programmes specifically tailored for SEND students. Now, these programmes are programmes that can be used for part A of the Arts Award if you're doing bronze, and indeed actually for Discover and Explore as well, because they're all about taking part in the arts. Equally, if you're looking at bronze, they can be used for part B, where we explore the arts as as an audience member. So the young people going to the National Gallery could do a review of that experience for part B. And it can also be used for part C, which is where young people find out about an artist that inspires them and do some simple research and share that with others. So you can hit all three of those parts of the Bronze Arts Award with these programmes. Equally, as I say, they map really nicely as well onto Discover and Explore. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to hand it over to Marc, who will be sharing with you the programmes for the National Gallery. Welcome, Marc.
Hello, Ruth. Thank you so much. I'm going to get straight into sharing my screen. It's always a relief when that part is done. Wonderful. And let me just take you into my presentation. Okay, so just thinking about National Gallery and perhaps the idea that you might have about the National Gallery, about the building, about the collection, when thinking about perhaps bringing your students. And first impressions here, maybe quite serious classical references, imposing building in central London. And the question, why bring your students to the National Gallery? And in the next 20-25 minutes, I hope to provide some positive answers to that question, to give you some thoughts on why you should. But probably the clearest one, if I had to say one thing, it's that the National Gallery belongs to the people of Britain. It belongs to the people of the United Kingdom. It is our collection. And therefore, everything else, I think, follows from that. You know, it's our building, it's our collection. It should be and is available to everybody. Just walking inside and giving you a sense of I've gone straight into the very oldest part of the collection. I always say it's my favorite part of the collection because I've got many different favorite parts of the building and the paintings, 2,500 paintings. And this question, are the paintings relevant to your students? You may well be wondering. And I've gone straight to, yeah, these like the paintings we're looking at there by Raphael from about 500 years ago. Are they relevant? Will your students relate to them? I've got a couple of very quick examples. I'm going to show you some examples and take a bit more time to go into some projects and ideas. I'm going to show you some. I'm going to take you through very briefly at the beginning logistics about how to access the programs for SEND at the National Gallery. This particular group I was working on with a colleague of mine, a musician, Luke Crooks, and we visited the school, and they were we went to see them. They were a class with PMLDs. And they were working on spaceships and astronauts and rockets. They were building rockets in the classroom. And my first thought was, how can the National Gallery, this collection of old master paintings, be relevant to this group? And then pretty much 10 seconds later, I thought of this painting, of one of many paintings of stories, of myths, of gods, goddesses, flights through the air, space travel. As you can see, I'm making this connection to rockets, gods, goddesses from the classical world. We've got the god Jupiter swooping down through the air and creating the origin of the Milky Way. I just wanted to show you this example and what happened when a a wonderful class encountered it and created their own little altarpiece, and creating an altarpiece of superheroes. You start to see that these old master paintings are indeed relevant to everybody. What do we offer for students with SENDs? So we've got the two that Ruth mentioned. Sense It, we call it, for students specifically with PMLDs, which I'll tell you a bit more about, and Explore It for really aimed at students with MLDs and SLDs. But we also, on our website, which I'm just about to show you, we adapt all the school sessions for students with special educational needs and disabilities as well. I'll just show you that. So this is a page. This is a screenshot from the National Gallery website. From if you look top left hand tab and go to Learning, and you will find under Primary Schools and Secondary Schools the section on SEND groups, and then this option for booking dates for the Explore It sessions and for the Sense It sessions, and then under all of the primary school tours, this one is on storytelling. My wonderful colleague Fiona telling a story. We will adapt and make a bespoke session for you and for your students on the theme of every primary and secondary school session that's available on the website. There's a little Q&A at the bottom of the page. So just to give you a sense of our facilities, this is our creative space. We're at the moment developing, we're trying to create a dedicated studio space. This is our creative space and projector there with a Monet, painting by Monet of the water lilies. We're very proud of our Changing Places facility, which is very close by. And we are, of course, very proud of our gallery spaces, which you will explore if you come to one of the National Gallery tours or workshops. So a structure of an SEND workshop, really you have to book online, as I've shown you, and then we will, what we tend to do is make an online visit to you to meet your students, to plan, to go through, to plan a relevant visit and theme that works with what you're working on with your students. And then the National Gallery workshop itself, which takes place in the creative space, and then a visit to the gallery, and then usually a creative, more messy session, shall we say, in the creative space after we visited the gallery. This is very important to me, this section. I've called it What Your Students Will Show Us. It's something that I'm really passionate about. Your students give us permission to explore the whole experience of being in the gallery. The paintings, and we can say not just the paintings, but the architecture, the space, the light, the smells. Each room has a different smell. Colors, materials, and the atmosphere in each room. So your students will show us so much about this gallery. Your students open up the space for us. Your students, I put it this way, that they shows we focus on the light in the paintings, but when I've guided students through the space, I've also become more aware of the light each day in each of the rooms. Your amazing students give us new perspectives on the gallery itself and the collection. And as you could see in this photograph, well, it's an absolute gift. I've spent suddenly in this program, I've spent a lot of time actually on the floor of the National Gallery, exploring up and exploring down, and not just exploring what's on the walls. My focus was very much on the paintings, and I love the paintings of the National Gallery, but your students have shown us new ways of experiencing what's there, you know, the building itself. We have amazing floors, these incredible mosaics by Boris Anrep from about 70 years ago. Your students invite us to sense the paintings. So we have to tune in, we try to tune in to the perception of your students, of your unique students. And in turn, they guide us, because by tuning into them and by thinking about how they might make sense or experience the paintings, it's renewed my experience of what's actually in the paintings. In this case, as you can see, this fur, the sheep fur, the wool, and the sheep in the painting. They show us they show us to feel. They show us to feel what we see in the paintings, because that's how we find we've explored the paintings with them, with your students. And also they give us permission to play. I'll have to just briefly describe on this screen. There's a painting by Turner and the boats on the sea. Then we're in the creative space, and there's a projection of the same painting on the wall. But with one incredible class, they came in, and we built a boat. A colleague of mine, Ed, and I, we built this cardboard boat and sail, and the whole class got into this boat, and we were actually imagining we were alive and imagining we were on the high waves, on the high sea. Okay, so the next section I've got is going into a bit more detail about what these sessions look like, and to give you some examples of the exploring that we do. So one of our for MLDs and SLDs, we call the sessions Explore It. So exploring the collection. During lockdown and in the pre-visits, we've started to do more and more reaching out to schools for the pre-visit online, and we found this works really, really well. Our website is completely fantastic, because we have 2,500 paintings, and each of the paintings is available on the website. And for each of the paintings, if you select one painting and you project onto a whiteboard in your classroom, you can zoom in and see the most amazing details in each of the paintings. So this in itself is a great way of exploring the collection. So I'm saying it in that vein as well. There is a search engine, and this screenshot is just to give you an example of ways to explore the National Gallery collection before visiting and in your own time, as well as in planning the sessions with us. And this, it happens, the theme of the Explore It session I'm just about to show you was the theme of flowers. And the first thing I did was, just put flowers into the search engine. And this was one of the first paintings that came up, this amazing painting by Boschart the Elder. This is where the Boschart is on the right hand side, in the corner of a very small room. It's we have paintings grouped in different countries, and this one is from Holland, from about 350 years ago. But they're so vivid, it's as if the flowers are still alive now with us in front of our eyes. But this, I wanted to give you a sense of moving through the space, this idea of what your students show us, and each of the rooms has different colors and a different atmosphere and a different scale to the paintings as well, so a different sort of mood as well. In this space, with this particular class, visitors. We started looking, we started exploring colors. I think you can see just this small selection. There are still life flower paintings all the way around, if you can imagine that. So we started to look for, perhaps we chose a color. One of the students chose red, and then yellow, and then white. So we looked for flowers of that color, and we started to draw. We started to make drawings, invisible drawings of the flowers we'd selected, you know, just to start to, I suppose, warm up, be comfortable in the space, explore the space, start looking and start noticing. And all sorts of amazing things happened. This was just one of them. There are, of course, these amazing, you know, this bounty of extraordinary shapes that we were drawing in this dark, magical room. And then one young student noticed that there's a bee on the daffodil right in the middle, upper middle here. I've got a detail to show you. And this is the kind of, the detail really gives an idea of the facility of zooming in on the website, on the National Gallery website, to explore the paintings. There's so much to see in these paintings. So we had this encounter with a bee. So our finger, which had been moving and drawing to draw the shapes in front of us, turned into a bumblebee, and we started buzzing around each other, landing on our shoulders, on our noses, and we were with the paintings. We took a walk through. It's interesting to think that I sort of had certain paintings and places I wanted to show this particular class. There's an exchange in a way that I'm guiding, but they're really showing us things about the paintings. This one we saw earlier with the response of a different class that made that superhero, the triptych of an altarpiece of superheroes. They were actually self-portraits. There's a little portrait of the English King Richard II on the left-hand side, but there are a series of small flowers on the bottom right-hand side of this painting, just here. This is something I've taken with my phone, you know, and it's just this, again, the beauty of the shapes, noticing details, following a theme, you know, just exploring, looking, noticing, completely magical. And the tiny mushrooms over here on the right-hand side. This is from the website again, so a sort of what you would see if you were zooming in on the website on a whiteboard. That's the details. It's in the first room, I think possibly room 51 of what we call the Sainsbury wing, which is the place where the very oldest paintings are. An absolute wonderful magical painting. The next room, we wandered into the next room and we looked at the painting on the right-hand side. I'll show you why I'd sort of selected it. And I don't know if you can make it out, but there are flowers at the bottom of the step. So we sat down, I asked the students if what they noticed, what they could see. And it was funny because one young man said a bear. I think he just said the word bear, actually. And I just really didn't know to begin with what he meant. And the penny dropped that he was talking about this bare foot. And I'd never looked at this barefoot. I'd never looked at this this foot of, you know, with any time. There's just so much to see in each of the paintings that always there are new things to discover. And so we looked at the flowers, we looked at the lilies here, and I invited the students to start making a drawing. And so, you know, we'd gone on this tour. I was only with this particular group for an hour maximum, met them, and it was an adapted tour, a school session, and invited them to create their own flower, basically their own flower design, and this idea of you know, a unique flower, but their unique way of drawing as well. We each of us have a unique view of the world and a unique way of drawing. So I encouraged all of that. And of course, when you look at this artist, is called Gotzeli. And if we were to look back at the Bosch art lilies, they're quite different. Each artist, you know, we can take the same flower and everybody in the whole world could draw this same flower, but we will all draw it differently. So this is a drawing on a thickish piece of paper with wonderful colors. There's some more examples here. Oh, there is the Bosch art. There is the Bosch art of the lilies. That's this different artist 150 years before, 200 years before. And cut out twice and basically stuck on a stick. I like sticking things on sticks. And there's just this is what we managed to achieve in 1 hour, having met this wonderful class. I'm just going to keep moving because I've got one other example to show you, and then I'm going to bring Ruth back in. I've got 2 more examples. So the first one is looking at a couple of experiences looking at Claude Monet's water lilies, and I called it immersive sensory experiences with Claude Monet's water lilies. So here is it's an amazing painting, 4 or 5 meters long, nearly abstract, we could say. This is the painting projected on the creative space wall, and this was something that really happens by chance with a wonderful colleague teacher at the village school in London called Deirdre. And with her students, we made swatches of color swatches with pastels, with brown paper, noticing the color, matching the color to the you know, on a mark making, collecting color, and then finding the place on the projection on the wall of the creative space where they could find the same color. So that was a kind of just a little warm-up activity of noticing and looking. It happens that I was with my wonderful colleague Luke Crooks, who's just an incredible musician. And this is literally a 2-second film, just to give you a I might just play that again because it's so lovely. We were responding non-verbally to and with the students. We were moving and inviting the students to come into the projection of light, into the painting, as it were, immersing themselves in the projected light, and moving and making sounds. And Luke was mimicking and responding to the sounds they were making. And so it was an invitation to sort of feel, you know, this sensory experience of being in the painting. We then went into the gallery. I think I've just got some. I might just show you that. This is just a photograph of the painting in the gallery, just to give you a sense of it as a physical object, and the fact that actually, you know, these paintings, particularly the modern ones, they're intentionally sort of rough. You know, they're not really super refined. There, you can see the brush marks. They're alive. They have energy. And we came back to the creative space, and this particular class, we took the swatches off of the wall, and I pre-cut a piece of brown paper that exactly the same size as Monet's painting. I think it was 4 meters across, and we started to mark make, collect colors, expand the colors, and we stuck the swatches on top, almost like this reference to water lilies on the surface, you know. So it was this beautiful experience of collaboration, which we love, you know, when we work together, when when we create things together. I think, Ruth, I'm quite pleased because I was worried about the time, but can I invite you back in? And I've got so this is third example, and it is sensory responses. This is super important. Like the co-production just has become this process that we've really been working on. There are so many colleagues I've collaborated with across schools, particularly in London. There's one particular extraordinary arts leader called Paul Morrow, who has really trained me so much, and we've moved ideas together. And anyway, he's really helped me understand ways into paintings. And, in this general question we started with, Ruth, of are these paintings relevant? Well, I'm saying with a capital yes, yes, they are, but this process of, so it's co-production, it's working, it's collaboratively. This is here now. We're in a Sensit session. Should we imagine we're with a wonderful class of students with PMLDs, and the guys that hopefully might listen into this recording, you are the experts on your students. We are meeting them. If we're lucky, we've met them for an hour, 45 minutes before the workshop, but you really do know how, what makes your students click, how they communicate, if they're happy, if they're sad, and when they're excited, when they're distressed, all of these things. And anyway, we work together we use entry points and work together to respond to the painting. So I found this way of, so we're saying entry points, and this can be so this is a detail, so one detail from one of the paintings of 2,500 paintings. And if you start to go, right, okay, what's there? What can we see? Grass, trees, branches, leaves. And then, carry on, dark clouds, wind, lightning, thunder, rain. Each of these words, each of these things, it's a way in. It's one beginning of a way into this detail of this painting. And I tried to really to write this, which has been great, Ruth. To try and sort of formalize this and say, well, what is it? What is this process? So the idea is for each of these entry points. So if we take grass, we could then apply these words on the right hand side to this entry point. So I don't know if we want to try this, Ruth, at all, but
I'm game.
So we're looking at the grass. We're noticing. We could spend time thinking about grass, thinking about what it feels like, what the texture's like, what it'd be like on our skin. We could explore real grass, as well. We could try and describe it if it was appropriate to the group, depending. I think when I wrote this, can you see this is a tiny detail of this detail in the bottom left-hand corner. Can you see those grasses there?
Okay, yeah.
Ruth, can you describe it in a couple of words? Something about the grass?
Feathery, soft.
Oh, you see, we're there, aren't we? We're there. So we've got feathery, soft grass. So we can turn this into, a rhythm. We can repeat this, Could we depending on, the language that each of your schools use, perhaps some signing, perhaps some Makaton. I love this invisible drawing. Can we try a bit of the feathery invisible drawing? Wonderful, which kind of just, you're in the painting, aren't you? We're feeling the painting. So it
sounds like a dance, Mark. I have to say, as I'm doing it, I feel like I'm in a dance. I follow their branch along. It's beautiful.
And we can go, look, we can go into the trees and in the branches there, look, and this is, we don't get to do this. Perhaps if I was with an adult group, I might not, what I really want to do is go, come on, let's be trees. This is how to get involved in these paintings. So, but that's what happens with these amazing students. So yeah, so we got dance, we got movement, and then playing, just playing with rhythms, playing with this, playing with the wind, bringing the wind through, bringing the rain through, oh, come on. So it's been really wonderful to think, just to explain, even honestly, it seems quite simple in a way, doesn't it? When you say it, it's kind of simple, but I thought, how am I going to explain this? Well, this has been an absolute gift, Ruth. so could it?
I love
Go on,
it. I
Ruth.
love this sensory story. It's just finding all those different ways into art. Whereas, as you say, when we become adults, potentially we come maybe just with our minds, and that's so limiting. And that's certainly, I can't imagine the artist's intent was ever that you should just come to it like that and stand there in this rigid way in a gallery. And the way you've expressed there, the way the students actually give you an opportunity to shake yourself up and to work differently, I just can't applaud you enough. I mean, we should all be lying on the floor of the gallery and looking at the art and looking at the ceiling, looking at the spaces, looking at the people from a different perspective.
Yeah,
It's
it's
sometimes I feel like it's just so limited, this construct we've made of galleries and the way that we come to them. So yeah, beautiful the way you've shaken everything up for us today.
Thank you, Ruth. I mean, it is championing neurodiversity, isn't it? And when we tune in to a different perspective of something like a painting or a building, we're kind of in a new building, aren't we? We've got a new slant on our norm, on our way of seeing things. So, that's why we need you to come. Can I just, Ruth, have I got like 30 seconds? Is that?
You've absolutely, you can have that.
Thank you. It's just that to show you the whole painting. So that was that's the detail of the whole, this incredible painting by Henri Rousseau. And of course, with more time, I could just show you that we can explore, the tail.
Oh, look at that tail.
And the teeth. And, we can build up, we can look at details, and that process of entry points and processes to explore those entry points in each part of the picture, so but that's what these wonderful students have shown me about the paintings and the buildings. So
thank you so much, Mark. Sorry, I had to just make a quick note then. This webinar, which we've just kind of recorded here today, is on the A&D website, which is where you might be watching it now if you're not watching it live as part of the IM Festival. And I think it'd be really great to have alongside it a still of the entry point slide that you shared with us, Mark, and to actually embed that into our website so that people can really have that distilled idea that you shared with us there. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I loved the breadth of what you covered there. It was quite extraordinary. I feel like we went from this inhospitable building, potentially you could think of it like that, the portico and the steps. There is of course a level entrance, so it's all absolutely fine. But we went from that kind of exterior perception to somewhere that actually, you told us right at the beginning that it's ours, and that we need to bring ourselves to it, and we need to make it ours. And that you're there ready to do that with us, I think is just fabulous. And then the range of programs so carefully put together, so carefully held by the National Gallery, Sense It and Explore. And then just to remind everybody again as well, that all of the tours that are on the program for schools can all be adapted as well for SEND groups. So it's not that there's just the 2 bespoke programs, because I know those they're very popular, and they are such beautiful things that people kind of do clamor for them a little bit. But we can also visit through the tours as well, which is brilliant. But then I just want to end by saying one of the things I felt massively inspired about is the fact that everything you've shared with us, I felt I could do back in the classroom, and I could potentially also do with a local art gallery. So coming to you isn't an option. You shared with us, and I think opened up for us a multitude of ways of working, and just that ability to look at high resolution images in the classroom and step into them. Tremendous.
I remember when the first 20 were available on the, and it was this incredible thing, to see the paintings in that way, as well. But now 2,500 paintings are available any day, every day on the website. So in that way, so
it's fantastic. Thank you. Okay,
pleasure.
we do need to end. Thank you so much, Mark.
Pleasure.
And thank you everybody for watching. And yeah, we'll see you at the National Gallery with Mark. Bye.